We are going to turn our attention to conversation about golf ball technology, and there's nobody who has a better grasp on that topic than my guest, Dave Bartels from Callaway Golf. He's the head of research and development. And David, I'm sure that at some point on our trips out to Carlsbad, you and I have shaken hands at least once or twice, but I think this is the first time we've had you as a guest on the program. So officially, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is definitely the first time, so I appreciate you having me on and talk about golf balls.
It's so on brand that you're wearing a Chrome Soft t-shirt. I can't
like
believe
that.
that you have one of those and I don't, but I did bring some props for those who are watching our video stream. I do have some Chrome Soft sitting here next to me with our logo on them. And so let's kind of go big picture for a moment here. What has the pandemic world done to the golf ball world? I know production is kind of a difficult thing if the plants can't be open.
Yeah, it's been, my team is out in Carlsbad, California, the research and development team for golf ball. That's where our headquarters is at. And we've been on a work from home mandate with the state of California since, mid-March. So our team has been doing a good job. People have been trying to stay productive from home. We have some labs within R&D where we make prototype golf balls and do a lot of our development work. So for the last few weeks, we've had a portion of our staff in there with masks on, getting temperature checks, enabling us to continue to do our prototype development work. From the manufacturing side of things, our Chrome Soft balls and our ERC Soft are all made out in Chicopee, Massachusetts, in Western Mass. So they're more under the guidelines of the Massachusetts state mandates. And I think they opened up back early June. They're kind of back full online now, doing temperature checks at the door. And yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. I know everybody in the industry is kind of struggling with this, but it seems like the demand is pretty pent up and a lot of people are out golfing and buying golf balls. That's a good thing.
That's one of the things that's been encouraging through all of this is to see that golf fever hasn't gone away, even though we're dealing with the pandemic and the other things that are happening in our nation. And then part of the challenge, of course, is for your team, whenever you've got a new innovation that you've spent years researching and creating and really crafting in some white lab coat kind of behind closed doors areas, it's got to be kind of frustrating to have to sit on it a while because it's just difficult to get news out.
Yeah, it's a small problem in the big picture, right? We're real excited about this year's launch, and we were at the PGA show in Orlando at the end of January and creating some buzz and getting excited about the new Chrome Soft and Chrome Soft X launches. We had a early mid-March launch for the product at retail, and so that was kind of interrupted a little bit. We're looking at kind of maybe a mid to later year kind of relaunch of it. But I think in general, it's always nice. With golf balls, it seems like it takes a little bit of time for them to gain traction in the market anyway. So launch is really important and key, but it's more the sustained kind of sales and getting good golfers, like yourself out there playing them and giving feedback on them and stuff. So yeah, it takes a little time.
Obviously, you've not learned that we edit our television show heavily. That leads me actually to a question about the decision-making process that golfers make. And I'm wondering how deeply connected their purchasing decisions are to what they see on TV from top professionals or hopefully from our programs. How important is it that, that Phil play a ball that is now on the shelf kind of a thing? Where does that connection take place?
It's a good question. It's something we work to try to understand as much as possible. I think we do believe in a pyramid of influence type situation where, for a product, Callaway is the number 2 golf ball manufacturer by market share in the world behind Titleist. And we've achieved that through validation through our key either tour staff or kind of key head pros across the country. So I think it requires some level of validation, but when it comes to, just a random guy or random woman going into the golf shop to buy a product, it kind of starts with, who's going to recommend the product to him or her. How are they going to discern between different products on the market? So we spent a little bit of time trying to give consumers the tools to pick the right product. It's more like, ball selection. But yeah, it is challenging, no doubt, especially when you walk into a, Dick's Sporting Goods and you see a whole array of golf balls. How do you know where to start? So we like to say, whatever people are willing to spend for a product, generally speaking, the more you spend, the higher performance is designed into the product. So if you're going to buy Callaway, whatever kind of price threshold you're at, you're going to get the best performing product at that price point.
Let's get into some technology talk. I'm amazed by how the world has changed as the technology to measure in 17 decimal places has evolved. I hold in my hands by the way, Dave, there are some people who are listening to our interview on the radio show and podcast, and some who are watching us on our live stream right now. There are a handful of folks tuning in. So they can see that I'm holding up a Chrome Soft golf ball. It's our official ball. It's the best ball in the market. And yet, as I look at this, if I were to hold up 5 other competitors' golf balls, obviously to the eye, you're not going to see anything terribly different unless you're really holding some freakish ball up like Bubba played a couple of years ago. So for the most part, everything that's special in your research and development, I'm guessing for the most part, takes place inside here. And I'm wondering how that has evolved in the time that you've been in golf ball research and development, just through the technology and the measuring abilities.
I'm not sure how long your show is, but we could talk about this for a while. So I started in 1998, and we worked on the first product that we launched in 2000 called the Rule 35, which was a solid core, single mantle, urethane cover construction. That launched in March. The Pro V1 is a very similar type design, solid core, mantle layer, urethane cover that launched in October of that year. So those balls have been kind of set the bar. The Pro V1, you could say, set the bar for many years to come. So since then, there's been quite a bit of investment and development in different aspects. So one being the materials. Obviously, that's critical and key. How we measure materials, how we are able to simulate material properties. It's not surprising when you think about it, but it is surprising to a lot of people that the impact that a golf ball undergoes is extremely high. You think about like just how long the ball's on the face of a driver and the impact force that the driver's hitting it with. Those types of material properties are really hard to measure. So we've gotten good over the years, and we've been cutting edge in a lot of respects over the years. I would say the other area that is a real focus is the aerodynamic pattern of the golf ball. That's obviously the outside surface, and we have some very sophisticated measurement tools that have helped us design a better aero pattern to keep the ball flying in the air, and it's absolutely critical. I mean, we're holding tenths of thousandths of an inch, a 0.0001 inches resolution on that surface, and if you do something wrong to that surface, the ball will get out there and it could potentially lose lift and really drop. So we've invested a lot. We have a couple guys on my team. One's a PhD aerodynamicist from Notre Dame. The other's a PhD aerodynamicist from MIT. We spend a lot of time thinking about these things so that golf balls perform in all conditions. The different from clubs, golf balls have to perform across every shot in every condition. Clubs might have one particular type of shot. And so, we have to worry about if you're going to go play in Denver, Colorado this summer, really high altitude, high temperature, what happens to the air properties? Is the ball going to maintain lift and not drop out of the sky? So you have to design to those worst case situations, but also then, if Phil Mickelson's playing or Xander this past weekend, he wants to make sure that, the ball, we don't overcompensate and make the ball perform poorly under normal conditions. If that makes sense.
It does. And I'm wondering if you can kind of pinpoint a time when that level of specificity became available. I have to think, I think look back at the old days of Trevino and Chichi, and it was all feel. And there wasn't nearly this ability to get this intricate with the composition of the golf ball. When did the switch get flipped?
So On a macro scale, if you weren't, we can dig into every year. We have different innovation technology we put in the golf ball, but I would say, in that year 2000, it was a big flip, right? When I had started in '98, I was a testing engineer working with tour players, and at the time we had John Daly, Colin Montgomery, Rocco Mediate, Annika Sorenstam, and so we would go out and test with these players, and that was the time where wound golf balls were really coming to the end of their life cycle. And so I remember Colin Montgomery having, I think it was a 6-degree driver, and really looking for a ball flight that really got up. And then, the older guys that golf, what this means, right? You go like, on the drives, and that was the way to get the most distance out of those wound golf balls. So when we started testing the solid core urethane cover ball with him, it was like a different, little higher flight, different trajectory, and the ball would literally go 15 yards longer. And the tour staff, just their eyes lit up because it was pretty significant. So over the years, there's been incremental gains. I would say the biggest advantage, at least in Callaway's line, was around 2014, 2015. So 2014, we launched Super Soft, which was kind of a different approach to distance. And it was really a way to, through soft compression of the ball, reduce the amount of spins. So golfers of average ability could get the ball up, and it would go exceptionally long because golfers tend to put too much spin on the ball. So Super Soft really took the spin off, made the ball straighter and longer. And it was very hard to manufacture. And that's why a lot of people can't manufacture soft golf balls at really high performance levels. 2015 was Chrome Soft. We launched that for the first time. And particularly in 2016 with Chrome Soft with the dual core, it was the first time a tour level golf ball had integrated a dual core. And what the dual core allows us to do with Chrome Soft is to design spin characteristics into the ball. So if you think about it like simplistically, the 2-piece golf ball, you have 2 layers, and you have to compromise performance. So on one case around the green, you want high spin, but off the tee, you want low spin. You want it to feel good, but you want it to be fast and go long. And so how do you minimize that compromise and overcome that compromise? And so having a dual core allowed us to do that. It allowed us to make a ball that was extremely long with irons, but still had a very soft urethane cover that could spin around the green in a way that better players really needed. So,
yeah, there of course there are a couple of camps, I'll call them, in the world of golf ball and distance and how it's impacting the game. Mr. Nicklaus would be on the side that's advocating for a reduction in the distance a golf ball can fly. I think 98% of golfers would love to be accused of hitting the ball too far. I wish somebody would accuse me of that. It would be such a compliment, but they don't. They wonder why it doesn't go nearly as far as they would think it would. Is part of the task for your team to always butting up to that standard that the USGA allows and trying to push that envelope a little bit further?
Yeah, simply, yeah. It's a little more nuanced than that. I think the USGA does a fantastic job of, years ago, they put an overall distance standard limit into the golf ball regulations. And that test is designed at 120 mile per hour driver club head speed, and it limits the distance at a certain standardized setup to 320 yards. That's been there for a while now, and balls, I would say the firmer golf balls can butt up against that. And so with those firmer balls, you're looking more towards other characteristics, trying to exploit while maintaining that really long distance. The way the test is set up to be that kind of point design, it protects, I think it does the job that the USGA wants, which is protect the golf courses for, the really PGA, the 0.1% of golfers out there. But there's still room for the majority of golfers to make the golf ball longer. And that can primarily be done through aerodynamics, but it can be done through materials research and things like that. So I think, with Nicklaus and others that have said, the easiest way is to roll the golf ball back. I would say that's true in the sense that that's the easiest way to limit distance, but the golf ball's not, I would say, contributing to people hitting it too far. I think the stake's been in the ground for long enough now where now we're seeing fitting really the optimization of golfer swings becoming so much better through the training aids. Obviously, the fitness of golfers is so much better. So I think, from an R&D standpoint, whatever the rules are, we'll design the best we can around them. So I'm not too worried about it.
Well, and we don't have to stay on this topic for very long, but I can't figure out what the harm is to distance. You can make courses tougher, you can set them up tougher so that the infinitesimally small percentage of golfers who would rank as the best in the world can still be challenged, and the rest of us can still get out and enjoy distance. I know I'm preaching to the choir a little bit with this commentary / rant, but we seem to invest an incredible amount of time and energy and angst into trying to put a governor on players who they're going to be better than all of us, whether you give them a butter knife and a rolled up pair of socks. So why can't we just get past that and come back around to the reality of this game needs more people in it, not fewer? And sometimes ball go far is the slogan or is the mindset that will get more people into the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with you. I know, to your point about the measurement systems, and, we can measure more closely and finely now. So I think from a design standpoint, it's fun because, the restrictions are there. And so now when we develop something that's better than our competitors or noticeable in the market, it's more exciting in a way because it's harder to do. So we can, I know our club team drivers in particular have just been doing an amazing job, getting those ball speeds out of clubs when everybody kind of thought that you couldn't get any faster. And likewise with golf balls, we're finding that we can be faster than other golf balls that, that are on the market. And so that's exciting. Now, whether to your point, the average golfer doesn't have a TrackMan and they're not going to see a mile per hour difference in ball speed and things like that. They're just worried about, playing better. But, part of our mission in my team and what we preach to my team is, we're trying to help golfers shoot lower scores. And that's not just, and also have fun. That's our two: shoot lower scores and have fun. And we can do that through a lot of different ways. One of which is, driver distance. There's a lot of other ways to shoot lower scores, and obviously having fun through things like TrueViz and Triple Track and all these types of technologies that just, golfers enjoy.
I think the Triple Track is the greatest innovation, which is the simplest innovation perhaps ever. But for me, it's been a visual assistant that helps me align things. And I don't know why it's such a simple concept, but man, is it very helpful. And I think, David, one of the things that will be interesting to our audience is, let me help paint the picture here. In Carlsbad, California, where the weather is perfect 365 days a year, as opposed to here in Michigan, there is an industrial park, a commerce park, where some golf companies are essentially neighbors. You're right around the corner from TaylorMade. And so when we were out for our annual visit, which was put off this year, but our annual visit, and we always get to go through and do some interviews and see what's happening. There are some areas where you just can't go in. You're not admitted in. They are top secret. There are literally, recognition. I don't know if it's fingerprint or optic, whatever it is. You're not going in there. Dave can go in there. I can't go in there. You've got the white lab coat on. Everything is sterile, and the effort to maintain classified or confidentiality is a pretty big deal. Can you kind of let our audience in kind of behind the scenes on why that is, why it matters so much, and the measures that companies go to protect what they're working on?
Yeah, we have, you're absolutely right. It's a very confidential, it's a very competitive industry. We're spending a lot of money on trying to outthink our competitors and outproduce our competitors. And a lot of times picking from the same pool of employees, right? And being in this area, TaylorMade's down the street from us. Cobra Puma is literally a mile away. Titleist does their club development out here in Carlsbad, and other companies as well around here. So yeah, there is an aspect of that. Even, it makes it really tough because Callaway does a really great job with our media. Like, our media team is phenomenal, and they're always wanting to get in the labs and show the cool stuff. And so we're constantly have this tension of like, well, we don't want to show this because, if if one of my competitors is watching YouTube and they click a video and they see, you know, how we're doing cover molding or dual core molding or something, they might get an idea that helps them overcome a challenge they might have had. Now, personally, it's when I started in '98, that's when the golf ball wars kind of started. That's where TaylorMade started up, Nike started up, Mr. Callaway started the golf ball business here. And at that time, when we built our new headquarters facility, we literally had bag searches on the way in and out, like by security, because they want to make sure you weren't taking prototypes out of the lab, things like that. And I grew up in a small town up in the Mojave Desert with a naval base, like China Lake is the name of the town, and which was a guard at the front gate to get on base. And it wasn't that tight of security getting onto a government naval base as it was getting into our golf ball facility. So some of that's still around. We do have key card, what you're referring to, like key cards at various stores, and we have various levels of access. It's kind of like if you don't need to be in that area, why go in there? But we do the last couple of years, I think, you've kind of alluded to coming out here on a tour. We've done a lot of tours of our facility for people that are good partners, and we've managed to show them some of the cool technology and the cool things that get people excited about golf. Most people think golf balls are just a little white round sphere, but when they see kind of the complexity of it, the amount of engineering and science that goes into it, it makes you get excited about golf.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating process from start to finish. And by the way, even though there were some areas in the building I couldn't go, I was allowed in the cafeteria, and that really made everything just feel great. That was all good.
That's great.
Dave, thank you so much for just a little peek inside the world of golf ball R&D. Before I let you go, we've got to talk about the Chrome Soft X, because that's the baby that's kind of waiting for everybody to come and meet it, right? As we speak,
Yeah.
you're trying to get delivery cranked up and get them into pro shops everywhere.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this product. I think it's something we've been working towards for a while now. We've taken a few different design paths on Chrome Soft X over the years, and it's been a little bit of finding exactly what those best golfers in the world are looking for, and I think I know through our validation, our testing, and I know a lot of companies have tour players playing their products, but this Chrome Soft X has a new design. It's got a solid core dual mantle construction that allows us to really maximize ball speed. We've built spin into the ball in a way that is more preferred by the better players, in the sense you can work the ball. It's got plenty of spin around the green. We're really excited, and in particular if you put it on TrackMan and go head to head with other products. And just on top of that, kind of like the cherry on top, from my team's responsible for the design and making sure the product is exactly what we want from a performance standpoint. But we have a whole other team working on how to manufacture these to the highest level of quality. And we've I know publicized this a lot. We've invested a ton of money into our manufacturing facility. It is literally state of the art. And every golf ball, Chrome Soft X and Chrome Soft this year coming off that line they meet the highest quality standards in the industry, not just in Massachusetts, or not just on the east of the Mississippi. It's like in the industry. So we're really excited about it. I don't think there's any weakness in the ball. I know Phil's playing the ball that you can go in the store and buy right now. Xander almost won this past weekend playing Chrome Soft X, and so we're really excited about it, obviously.
If you can inject every golf ball with a no lip out technology, I think Xander will buy a few, and I think all of us will line up as well. That was tough to watch, man. I know that in the end everybody's happy and they're pulling for their staff players.
Yeah.
But man, that poor guy, he was a 1/16 of an inch away from racking up an important win. So
he's got a bright future ahead of him, definitely.
Oh
so,
man, that's for sure. Yeah, I love Xander.
Yeah.
David, thank you. Appreciate the pulling back of the curtain a little bit. Hopefully we can do it in person one of these days. And until then, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bill. Take care.